Well, today is a wonderful day. I've got a special guest with me today who I've been eagerly anticipating her coming on the show to give us so much information. She is full of information for us today.
Amen.
So what I would like to say is welcome, Jenni.
Thank you so much, Sean,
Jenni
for having me.
Russell. And I'm going to honour her by allowing her to let us know all about her and her background.
Just an old girl, really. Thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, so thank you. So, I mean, where do I start, really? I'm an author, public speaker, radio presenter, former athlete, record holder, mother, captain of a tennis team, an all-round lively girl that just loves life. I've been crowned Britain's fittest woman, 3 golds, 4 silvers, bronze record holder in the event. I won Channel 5 Desert Forges in the Wadi Rum Desert in Jordan in 2000, even though I had pleurisy. I've run the New York, London and Brighton marathons. I've published 2 books, which we will talk about soon, on female intimate health, and I've been in this space for over 30 years now.
Wow.
Which is really
that's
something.
amazing. Yeah.
And I speak about it. I've developed my own sensory program for pelvic health. I've helped women to avoid surgery for prolapsed organs, reverse incontinence, regain sexual function, transform lives and save relationships. So I help women to do that by remaining confident, continent and sexually satisfied, all whilst improving posture, performance and body shape.
Well, I don't even know what to say. Are you ready? We've got lots to talk about. Let's start.
Okay.
So we've got some questions to.
Okay. So I fell into pelvic health by default. It's a trend now, 30 years later, everyone is talking about it. But I fell into it by default. And it was a throwaway comment that a friend made to me in the early 90s that drew my attention to pelvic floor. Because nobody focuses on the pelvic floor. To tell the truth, it's hidden from view. I do spoken word as well, by the way. I'm a spoken word artist. All on intimate health and stuff.
Okay.
And he made this throwaway comment. And as I said, it was, he was one of my best friends at the time. And it was said, because that's his experience. And his experience drew me to that attention. So what he said to me was, after having the second child, was, "Oh my God, Jen, now I know what they mean when they say it's like dipping your wick in a well." Which sounds really kind of like, oh my God. And I thought to myself, is that what happens after childbirth? Like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be at "are we there yet" moment. I don't want to have that experience.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody.
But nobody's taught that either, right? We're not.
Right.
When you have a baby, in the hospital, they have this piece of paper and they sort of go like, "Here, do your pelvic floor," and they sort of throw it at you like that, and then they walk away. So if somebody throws you a bit of paper and sort of nonchalantly says, "Do your pelvic floor," the natural thing for you to do is to think, well, it can't be that important, because it's not something that you're really telling me about with any, authenticity or anything. So I was teaching 21 classes a week, and I started to get women we were just doing pelvic floor exercises all the time. We were doing reverse curls, and we were messing about, because me and my late friend Danik was going to be part of the pinhead posse. And so that's what we were doing initially. And then I would get phone calls from women saying, "Oh, Jenni, guess what? I got home, I got up the stairs, and I made it to the toilet, and I didn't wet myself." But at the time, in the 90s, I thought nothing of it. I was just like, yeah, and? Because I didn't even take it on board as, let me look into this, let me study this. I was just enjoying teaching my classes.
Right.
Anyway, what was happening were women were getting more results, men were getting happy, they were sending their wives back. And so it kind of went on from there. And then I was competing, as I said, in the 90s, Britain's fittest woman, 3 golds, 4 silvers, bronze, as I said, the record holder. And all that time I was competing, no one was talking about transverse abdominals and pelvic floor. And then in 2001, a man by the name of Paul Chek, CHEK, which stands for Corrective High Performance Exercise Kinesiology, which is like the study of muscle movement. He came over from the States, brought over the big stability ball that's in the gym.
Yes.
And then he used me for one of his demos. Now, I am Britain's fittest woman at the time. I have been on Sky Sports. I had the best press-ups for the day for both men and women, according to the commentator. So he puts this wooden stick on my back, just a light stick, to do this one exercise. And he's telling me about drawing my belly button to the spine, and I couldn't do it. And he's like, I think something's asleep down there. And I was like, yeah, do you know who I am? You know? But I liked his philosophy. So I wanted to, so I what I did is I kind of undone all my 40 training patterns and started again. No, I'm exposing myself now. But then a year later, I was single at the time.
Okay.
And a year later, I met this guy. We had this relationship. And the experience I had with this guy, I'd never had before. So I thought this guy was like the business, right? That, you know, so he was an English guy, that I had my first English guy encounter, exposing myself proper. And, you know, God didn't, he wasn't, you know, anyway, right? But I really thought, then I, you know, later on I find out that this is not the right person. But much later in the year, I had returned to an old flame. And I had the same experience. And that's when I realised it was me.
So it's you.
It wasn't him, it was me. So I rang the guy, Mark, guess what? And I put him in my first book. And I started writing the book because Paul had said to me, put it in writing. Everyone used to call me Russell, my surname. Put it in writing. Otherwise, someone else is going to take your ideas because you've got a great way of explaining it, you know?
Right.
And so I did. I was washing the dishes. I bought a brand new Beetle in 2003. It's significant to the story. I'm washing the dishes. And this title just drops into my head. And the title simply is, Can a Vagina Really Buy a Mercedes? And I just, like, you know, I
Mic
just
drop.
dropped the plate.
Mic drop moment.
I phoned Sunita, like, and it doesn't work with any other car. It doesn't sound the same. Can a BMW? Can a Rolls Royce? No other car works. So we wrote to Mercedes, and it's a what can your pelvic floor do for you? My friend designed the number plate for me, V4 Gina, and the book was published in September 2005. And June 2006, I had a whole 9-minute interview on This Morning television with Philip Schofield was on there then, with Firm Britain. They say that only 7% of authors sell more than 100 copies of their book. I sold 4,000 copies of this book without even getting on a bookshelf.
Wow.
So this did really well. I had a whole page in the then Sunday magazine of the News of the World as well. It just really had a lot of traction. And so this is the first book. A very simple, easy to read, you know, full colour book. I like all my little sketches and stuff, and Mark's in it, so he's very happy. So yeah, so this is the first book that I published in 2005. And then I was teaching at the Harbour Club where Princess Diana used to teach. Okay. And I'd be doing my classes, I'd mentioned the book. And then this lady sent me an email and said, you know, I've got a uterine prolapse and I've been seeing physio for 8 months and nothing's happening. I said, okay, no problem. What we'll do is I'll incorporate exercises into the class whilst we're doing it. She said, fine. So we started to do that. We started to look at exercises. And within 6 weeks, the physio signed her off. She'd been with a physio for 8 months and nothing happened within 6 weeks. And that wasn't even one-to-one. And she invited me to her house. Her husband had quite a high position in the church in central London. They invited me to the house and the husband stood behind his wife and he kissed her on the back of the head and he said to me, thank you for giving me my wife back.
Well,
and
that's
amazing. When I knew
Don't you think that's amazing, ladies?
I had to do something more.
I mean, who wouldn't want to hear that? That is amazing. So you've done great things really for some people, haven't you?
Yeah,
You've really
yeah.
done great things. And this book is not the only one.
No. So I took a bit of time. I did take a bit of time. And then that's when I realised I needed to write a bit more. I realised that women really weren't understanding what was going on with their pelvic floor.
Right.
And so years later, in 2013, I published this, Pelvic Floor Secrets. Okay. And this, again, when I was doing the title, again, 6 weeks to confidence, continence, and sexual satisfaction. So this is, I want to go through this now because a lot of people see this, they see this cover, and they see a white lady on the cover, and they ask me, why have I chosen a white lady for the cover of my book? Why did I choose a black woman?
Okay.
And I said, I didn't choose a white lady. I chose a lady from all the pictures I looked at, because you used to pay for all these pictures. I chose a lady who, for me, showed confidence, continence, and sexual satisfaction. That is not a lady that leaks when she runs. She's laughing, she's jumping, life is really happy. She does not look like she's got anything to worry about.
Right, and colour really shouldn't have anything to do with this. Colour has nothing to do with it.
And I said, in the old days when I used to call out Bill Gates' name, which I don't do anymore, I say, like, when you see IBM, do you see his face on it? You just know it's his, right? Mm-hmm. You see my name, I'm on the cover, Jenni Russell. Yeah. But what I wanted to show was somebody that was exuberating this confidence. And I looked at black, white, pink, yellow, purple, and I couldn't find anything. But when I found that picture, that woman just looks like she has nothing to worry about. Right. And that's what I want women to be able to do, to be able to jump around. And you're a mother too, yes? I am. Right. And so, you know, this whole conversation around having the children, being scared to get on the trampoline, having that fear around getting on the trampoline, it doesn't even cross my mind. Even now at Sassy Sexy 63, I don't even think about, I can still jump on the trampoline with my nieces. That is amazing. That's the thing. I mean, living is one thing, but you need to have a quality of life. Mm-hmm. And to get a quality of life as a woman, especially later on, there's so many things that go wrong with the body, but there's some things that you can control. And so if you're talking about pelvic floor and how you can do the exercise to control what is happening down there, I'm for it. I'm all for it. I'm so glad. I am. So let me just course correct a little statement you made a second ago. Mm-hmm. Literally everything in our body we can literally control. Really? You think so? God made us fearfully and wonderfully, and He designed us for signs and wonders. That's actually in His word. His word says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. His word said we were designed for signs and wonders, right? We are blessed and highly favoured. It's the way in which we're living that is causing us a problem. Because you've got to think, when you go to indigenous cultures and those cultures that have not been westernized, they do not have our issues. Okay. They don't have our issues, right? Mm-hmm. They're not struggling with prolapses like that. They're not struggling with incontinence like that. I'm one of 6 children. I sadly just lost my mum a couple of months ago. Oh, sorry to hear that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's been quite a journey. It's been quite hard, and we've nursed her for the last 6 years. But up until lockdown, and she went into hospital, she never walked again. She walked into hospital. Okay. And whatever they did to her again, she never walked again. She was then bedbound for the last 4.5 years. And but up until that point, my mother never wore continence pads. She never had incontinence moments. And my dad had us back to back. Like the first 5 of us, there's like my sister and myself, we're the same age for 12 days. Then there's like 6 weeks between me and my brother, and then there's like 3 months between my brother and my sister. So, you know, a year and a bit, you know what I mean? So, you know, there was no real break, but it's only my sister Brenda, who just turned 60 on the 28th of June, and my brother Martin, who will be 60 not next year, year after. That's when my mum had her break. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is because my mum had 5 children back to back. She never drove. She was a diabetic in the end. She was, you know, quite overweight because her body never had the chance to recover. But she walked everywhere. She did everything. But she also came from the West Indies. Right. And so they never had water then. They had to walk to the standpipe to get the water. So that means as children, they were walking, they were squatting, they were deadlifting, they were shoulder pressing. You know, you've got the finishing schools over here. Deportment, they put the books on your head and they walk. Yes. Well, you know already in African cultures everywhere, you just put the stuff on your head. That's what we do. And you walk. Put the water, like they'll have gallons of water and put it on their head and they'll be walking with it, balancing it with it. Yeah, for miles sometimes. Right. So I live over there in Enfield on the other side to you, right? And I was talking to a friend of mine. I live in a little cul-de-sac. And as I was talking to her, I went, she went, "You okay?" I said, "No, there's an African woman. She's walking. She's got water on her head." And I couldn't get my phone out. I couldn't get to film her fast enough. I didn't get to do it. She went round the corner. The reason why I'm saying that is because this is just the cultural thing she's continued over here. So to see it in Enfield, in London, big crate of water on her head, she's just chatting to her friend, walking. I'm just like, that woman has got no problems. No pelvic floor problems, no problems. Do you understand? Right. So this is like, these are primal movement patterns that we do every day. So when we get to a certain age, we get to this menopause age, and then we start to say the body's falling apart. It's not. Okay. I call it the 3 M's. We have menstruation, maternity, and menopause. Not all of us will have maternity, but as long as God keeps us alive and we're here, we will have menstruation and we'll have menopause. Right. right? So menstruation is the start of the female reproductive train journey. The minute that first period comes, your train journey begins. That whole emotional, hormonal, nutritional, circadian rhythm, it all begins, because we can be very emotional as even as children. That can come from how we were carried in the womb, you know, and there's a lot of influence between the left and right side. The right side's more creative, the left side is more functional, and even if they say it's not as quite cut and dry as that, we kind of exuberate and exhibit certain habits and traits that kind of show where we're at.
Yes.
So it depends on how we internalize things, it depends on how our body interprets things, but it's not until menstruation starts that our hormones start to really come into play. Now we've got this hormonal thing going on.
Right.
And every time we have a thought, or we hear something and we internalize it and interpret it, we attach an emotion to it.
Yeah.
And that emotion that we attach to it will then stimulate a hormone. So if we attach an emotion to something that makes us really happy, then we stimulate the hormones, the happy hormones, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the endorphins that make us really happy.
Yes.
But if we attach an emotion that makes us angry or sad, we stimulate adrenaline and cortisol, and there are other little stress hormones we don't talk about.
Yes.
We stimulate those. And so the body starts to store these things, and it continues to store. And so now there's the statements that are out there, everyone uses, the body keeps the score, the body keeps the store. It's literally, we are a storehouse. When we go to bed at night time between 10 and 12, the most important time when the melanin is its highest, and the melatonin is at its highest. So we're storing and repairing and rebuilding and refreshing. We're laying down memories. We're laying down memories, and we're storing memories, and we have parts of the brain that stores the memory, a part of the brain that attaches the emotion. So the hippocampus is the storer, the amygdala is the emotion storer. And so every time you recall a memory, like if you recall a happy memory now, you'll recall the emotion that goes with it.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Okay. So your body doesn't know if it's actually living the experience now in real time, or just recalling it as a memory.
Okay. Never thought of it like that. It does the same
for the negatives. So we continue to do this. So every time so listen, ladies, I'm just saying this to you. Listen. If a man has let you down, let it go. Because as long as you hold on to it, you hold on to it.
Yes.
Not him. You're storing it. What are you carrying around? What are you dragging behind you? What are you carrying with you? Because that's going to go through your whole life. Now we start to work. Now we start to want things. Now we want that car. We want that car. I want to live in that house. And I want to drive that dress. And I want to have that hairstyle. And I want to have that bag. I want those shoes.
Living a life of dissatisfaction.
Yeah. Always chasing.
Yes. It's that's one that I don't get into that.
No.
Because it's definitely not good for you to go down that road.
But we don't realise it,
never
do we?
Satisfied.
No. But how do we don't recognise it, we don't realise it. And then we get to, if we go through maternity, that's another stress. You know, is the maternity a planned one? Is it an unplanned one? Are we sick through it? Are we not sick through it? Are we beholden to our boss? Are we worried about our job? Are we worried about our finances? What are we worried about? What are we doing? How's the body dealing with all these things? Are we staying in fight flight? So we're living in the pelvis, in fight flight, because that's the root chakra, all around safety, security and survival. That's where the baby first starts. That's where the baby comes out. That's all our emotions are. That's what we house. That's where we receive. That's where we gather. That's where we make the baby. So everything's all in that area there. And so it's impacted by so many things. And then we get to menopause, we get to perimenopause, and the periods start to slow down. And that's an indicator that we're coming to the end of our reproductive life cycle. That's the end of the reproductive train journey. It's not the end of our life. And that's why some women will struggle with it, because it depends on what they bring into that experience.
Right.
It's going to now show up as different symptoms. But a lot of those symptoms are stress response symptoms that women can have in menopause. They can have them in maternity.
That's so interesting.